It's really difficult to let go of something when business ain't working. Like your whole business is crashing. Everything's like falling through the bottom of the floor. You're making no money. You're like, close the doors. I quit. But what do you do when things are good? What do you do when you're successful? What do you do when there's so much opportunity on the table? How do you pick and choose what's most important? And I'm really thankful for that wisdom and direction that I was able to gain so quickly to say it's okay to let go of other people's businesses right now, but I can still help them. It's just going to look a little bit different.
You work hard in your business. What has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling, the business psychologist, the author of the 4-Week Vacation and the How to Hire the Best series, as well as the founder of Tap the Potential, where we coach entrepreneurs like you to design sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. We believe work supports life, not the other way around. Weekly on the Profit by Design podcast, our team brings you tips, tools, and strategies to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. Welcome to the Profit by Design podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sabrina Starling, and today I'm joined by an incredibly special guest, Deanna Cotten. Deanna is the owner of Jumpstart Business Builders, and she was introduced to me by one of our mutual clients, Nadine Carlson. And Nadine saw the synchronicity in our work, and Deanna and I had a conversation, I think it was last fall. And we just hit it off. And I was so excited for the possibilities ahead about how we might support one another, because Deanna is all about helping business owners get to that first 6 figures. And at Tap the Potential, we are all about getting business owners to take their life back once they're at the 6 figures. And I thought, oh, this is an awesome partnership here. And Deanna, I was sharing with her about my book, The 4-Week Vacation, and she was just very excited about that. So I sent her a copy, and we were all scheduled maybe like 8 weeks ago, February, to have a podcast, and we were going to go on each other's podcasts. And then I got a note from Deanna, and she mentioned that she was dealing with some very serious health issues and was going to be out of town for testing and procedures. And it broke my heart. And I had no idea at the time how serious what she was dealing with was. And so with that introduction, I just want to share that it is such an honor that you are choosing to spend your time here in this conversation today, Deanna.
Oh, Dr. Sabrina, I love everything that you're doing. And despite all of those health things, I'm still so passionate about the work that I have done. And hopefully we'll still have a little bit more time to continue to do. I love everything you're doing. And I love how you just said that we help our small business owners get to that first 100,000. And there's like a little key component in that I believe you and I just totally hook together, because, it's so important for small business owners and getting to that first 100,000 to like take a deep breath, breathe, and get some dang rest.
Yes. So, Deanna, I want you to share your story of how you started your business and why you're passionate about Jumpstart Business Builders. And then we'll dive into the rest and that component.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So in 2008, I was diagnosed with neuropathy. So it all starts with health challenges. Isn't that funny? So I was diagnosed with neuropathy and was really struggling to work for corporate. So I was having, 10 plus migraines a month, these neuropathy issues, and I just couldn't work for corporate anymore. The catch is I am very strong-willed, first of all. I'm very creative. I have a lot going on up here. I mean, my brain's always moving. And I love serving others. So in that moment in time when I was no longer reliable for corporate, I discovered I had to keep going. And that opened up the doors to business ownership. And I had this whole idea that I was going to go and start my business. My first year in business, I was going to make $100,000. I was a go-getter until I wasn't. I was like, oh, that is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. I mean, I've got this great product. I've got this great service. People are going to want it. They're going to buy it. And it just turned out it was not as easy as I thought it was going to be. And I set out from there to figure it out. I was so determined, and I would just push forward and press forward, discover the next thing, answer the next problem. And there was one small thing that was missing along the way over the years. And that really truly was this key component of rest. I was so determined to meet that $100,000 mark that I was forgetting to slow down and process the things that I was learning, the places that I was going, the things I was creating. I was just determined to meet that mark. I did finally do it, but it was after 10 years. It took me a long time to get there. But with that key component missing, I discovered that future growth was going to rely on that.
So say more about just that piece, because I know for myself, it wasn't 10 years, but it did take me a considerable amount of time. It was multiple years before I crossed the six-figure mark. And even crossing it, there's going to like 120 and then there's 150. And so it's kind of like if you don't shift some things in that period, you're hustling and you're still trying to do everything in the business. It's still very much dependent on you. So talk a little bit about what it felt like to be just trying to get there for 10 years.
Yeah, it was so most people would have gave up. Most people would have been like, listen, I still got bills to pay. I'm going to go find a real job, which makes perfect sense. I mean, fortunately, my husband was still working. And so I could kind of live in that hustle if I wanted to, but it wasn't healthy for everybody else around me. So even if I was enjoying what I was doing, it really wasn't healthy. And you're right. It's like you hit that first six figures and you're like, yes. And then it's like 120. You're like, I feel like I just worked a million times harder for only like 20,000 more. And then it's like 150. And you're like, now I'm working 90-hour work weeks for 150,000 just in revenue. I mean, that's not money in our pocket as small business owners, right? Like it opens up the door for growth. And there's so many reasons that we promote and understand why you need to get to six figures. But taking care of yourself as a small business owner in between that is actually something that most small business owners aren't doing. And that was something that I caught on to. Like you said, I kind of went from like one step to the next step to the next step. And it was just getting harder and harder. And there was more and more hours invested and more work involved and more of my time and energy that was needed. And it was like, I can't keep doing this. At some point, I'm going to burn out. And I did. I burned out big time. Like I literally just walked away from my business for like a whole year. I was like, I'm out, I'm done. And that's really not a healthy way to handle our businesses either, is to get to a point where we have just built and built and built and built up to the point of just complete burnout, crash and burn, to where we just have to close the doors altogether and say, I can't do it anymore.
And that's the hardest part because you feel like, oh my gosh, I've put so much in. But then I know personally for myself, I had fantasies of just walking away.
Yeah, totally.
And then I thought, that's crazy. I built all this and it's going. And I think there's this in hustle culture when people talk about six figures, there's a misperception for new entrepreneurs coming in thinking, I am going to personally have six figures in my paycheck when the business hits six figures. And I love how you said that's not the case at all. And it's eye-opening. And one of the things that I find, Deanna, is that even as we pass the second six figures, like the 200,000 mark,
yeah,
we start adding team. And the hard thing about that is most people don't know anything about hiring. Most small business owners don't know anything about hiring. All we know is what we've experienced in our previous work life before we had a business.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so we start adding people and they may not be right. And so all this money that's going towards payroll or independent contractors becomes less and less efficient for us.
Absolutely.
And we end up paying ourselves less. And I think that is such a slippery slope.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but all of that is going on and we're getting fatigued, we're getting tired, and that burnout is slowly building up.
Absolutely. Because when you hire the wrong people, you may find yourself then having to do their workload because you've hired the wrong person. So it's a very slippery slope because you're starting to kind of pay yourself less because these people are needed or you feel that they're needed. But the more that they don't understand the job, don't know the job, you've hired the wrong person. Well, now you're having to cover the workload that you brought on because you brought this person on, but now the work needs to be done. Slippery slope for sure.
Yes. And so I want you to talk a little bit about the role that rest has played, kind of where we started when we started the interview. What role has rest played for you in those early years and now?
I really realized at some point as I crashed, like it was a legit, like close the doors, crash and burn, hide from everybody online. I can't do this. But yet in that moment, I still realize I'm still creative. I still, after you get a little bit of rest, you're ready to return. You're like, okay, I want to do the things, but you can't start a business back up like that. I mean, there really has to be some consistency and some determination on our part as business owners. And so finding that balance is really tough for pretty much all of us. Finding that balance is really hard. And the one thing that I really found to be so key for me was rest. But I don't mean just when you get off work at 5 o'clock, just be home. I mean, all of those things are important. I'm talking like walk away from your work for a significant period of time so that you can disconnect and become creative again. So you can have that energy that is going to multiply when you come back. But for me, I was struggling with walking away. How do I walk away from this? Who's going to fill the orders? Who's going to answer the emails? Who's going to do the things? Who's going to do all the business things while I'm gone? And I actually did just take a leap of faith at the time because it was just me at the time. And so a way that I found to make this work was to take what I called quarterly retreats. And this was just a short period of time that I could step away from my business, yet still write off my retreat, right? Because I was a business owner, I was trying to figure out how to make this all work. And I left without my computer. I left without all the work things, except for my planner. And I would take my planner and my pens, and I would go be by myself for 3 days and just cast vision for that quarter. What does this quarter look like? What do I want to come out of this quarter? What goals did I have at the beginning of the year that this quarter needs to fulfill? And so, yes, there was still a level of work that was happening during that time, but it was restful time away. It really wasn't enough, though, Dr. Sabrina. This was very important and became a very critical piece of my world, just stepping away from the office, away from all the things, away from the computer, away from like actual like executive administrative work. And I love that dream period of time. Like it was so much fun. And I always came back rested and renewed and excited and hopeful. But my family wasn't experiencing that rest with me. And my husband just came to me and he said, Didi, can we like leave just 1 week out of the year? Can you please just leave without anything work related? And I agreed. I said, yeah, absolutely. This was 4 years ago, 2020. I was like, yeah, I can do that. That was the best thing I ever did for myself. And it was only a week. It was the best thing I ever did for myself, for my family, for my children, because they want to experience the fruit of my labors as well. If I'm putting in the long, hard hours and I'm hustling like I am, they should win too.
Totally. What did you experience with your family when you were unplugged and present?
That first year, I knew I would never look back. We will have family vacations year after year. I was like, I will do this year after year. I experienced true rest. I got to experience my family on levels I hadn't experienced them before. I got to hear stories about the things that they were doing, the things they were excited about. And those things brought so much peace and joy to my heart. They also made me love my business even more because I knew the reason we were getting to take that vacation was because I had worked hard. And, we were able to take the opportunity that I had given myself and I'd started paying myself the year before that. That became very important to me as well. Well, now it's not just me experiencing the fruit of my labors. They were all experiencing it and they had so much fun. And so for me as a mom to step back and see everybody else enjoying the beach and playing in the sand and jumping in the waves and knowing that we were doing all of that because I had worked hard made it that much easier to plan to do it again the next year.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so as you're talking about that, I'm reflecting on one of the motivators that I had early on when I struggled to raise my fees, because you said you started paying yourself more. One of the goals that I set for myself was to be able to take my daughter to Disney World and not worry about, are we eating at a nice restaurant or are we going to eat the fast food and, saving money here, there, and everywhere. And I thought, I just want to be able to take her and not worry about money.
Absolutely.
And so that was my motivator. And every time I had to have a conversation with a client and it was a tough client a tough conversation about raising fees, that vision of I'm going to be there with my daughter in Disney World and we're going to have fun and we're going to have that experience and I'm not going to worry about how we're going to pay for it.
Absolutely.
And I think these experiences, you have to have the experience to fully appreciate it. I don't think there's enough words that between you and I to convey to somebody, and you just need to go do it. Go take that time, take that week off. How did you Did things fall through the cracks in the business? What happened during that week, or did anything happen?
Nothing. Everything was fine. Isn't it funny? We have believed this lie that we are the only ones that can do it, right? Like we've believed this lie that we have to be there 24/7. We've believed this lie that we have to answer that messenger at 10 p.m. or we're going to lose the sale. Like all of that, it's a lie. And the people that you should be working with, the people that are the right fit for you, have the same values that you do. And you desperately need time away from your business if you even have any inkling in you to grow your business at all. Like if you are stuck or you're stagnant or your business isn't growing at all, take some time away. I guarantee there's going to be so many things that your creative mind is going to pull together that is going to help you to grow your business. And every single time I leave, and there have been times where I'm like, I'm leaving to go on this trip. And I was like, listen, we don't really have the money for this trip. Like, I can't believe I'm scheduling this trip right now because the budget's really not there. I'll come back and have like $30,000 in sales within a week of getting back. Like it always gets made up. It always gets multiplied when I come back, which is actually why I'm able to stay more consistent in it because I've seen that win every single time I get back. So then I'm like, it makes it easier. I'm like, if it's time to increase sales and I've grown stagnant, I'm like, I'm out.
Time for a vacation.
Like heading to Florida for the week because when I come back, I'll do 50 grand in sales and it'll be fine. So, and it's like, so when you begin to see that happen, that lie that you've believed, it's easier to set that lie aside. But taking that first step is the hardest. Taking that first step to say, I am crashing. Like I'm getting nowhere. I'm working 8, 10, 12 hours a day and not making any sales. Like you're putting all this effort into your business and nothing is coming back to you. It's time to step out. It's time to go take a break. And, I did take that whole year off that one time. So which is a little bit more than the 4 weeks, right? But that was because I'd crashed so hard. I was like, I'm out. Like I'm taking a whole year off. I don't know what the heck is on the other side of this. But that was the year that I came back and everything changed. I mean, it was easier to take these vacations. It was easier to take those quarterly retreats. I didn't have, those got scheduled in on purpose. They were the first thing on the schedule before any work project, before anything else that was going to get done. And we have multiplied and served more people and generated more revenue since I took some time away from my business. That very first time, it has continued to grow and increase. And there was one more thing that I added, and I just started doing this 2 years ago. And it's cool to see how this now, opened up the door to the quarterly retreats. And then the family vacations became a priority. And 2 years ago, as my kids were growing and becoming teenagers, I began to see so much more of my time really being needed with them. And as business owners, we know it's hard to step away from our businesses. In reality, we have a lot more commitments than the traditional worker might have that's working from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So as I'm seeing these needs with my kids, I began to schedule in purposeful 3-day trips with my children, each of them individually. And that again has just increased. And I look at my current situation today and go, I am so thankful. I have no regrets. I can look back now and say, I took purposeful time with each of my children and went on a trip somewhere fun with each of them. A couple of them have made it to their second trip, so I'm determined to finish that round of children in their second trip as well. So it was just a little added piece that I added in the last 2 years. And again, things continue to multiply every single time.
How many children do you have?
I have 4.
4. So this is a significant commitment.
It's huge.
One of the things, I'm an only child in my family dynamic, and I have 2 daughters, and we also have 2 sons. My husband has 2 sons.
Okay.
And I also started doing, and it was inspired by Jim Shale's book, The Family Board Meeting. And he talks about having a quarterly, 4-day, 4-hour retreat with your kids. So not necessarily 3 days like you're doing, but just every quarter taking them independently to go do something. And one of the things that I have found is the dynamic is so different when we're all together as a family and what they talk about and what we experience. That's wonderful and it's fun. But when you get them alone, there's a little personality that comes out and they talk about things they would never talk about in front of the rest of the family. And now they always ask about it, like, do we have the next one on the calendar, Mom? And I want to go do this. And they get to pick what we're doing.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So I love your idea. I'm going to adopt that because I have done a couple of trips with them and it's incredible.
That's so much. And I might adopt yours now as things have changed significantly in my life. This may have to look different for me as traveling becomes more difficult, right? Yeah, that is like, we're going to adopt each other's ideas today.
Yeah, well, that's part of what, this is all about is we can share and inspire ideas here. So you've had in the last year, you've had incredible success in your business and some extraordinary challenges and heartache. And you mentioned that rest has played a significant role in that too. So just share a little bit about what's been going on.
Yeah, I would love to because this has become just such a huge testimony of what it looks like to build resilience as an entrepreneur. For years and years and years, I believed I was resilient and I had really just adopted resiliency as a mindset and not really something that you need to experience hardships in order to really become resilient. And so I didn't truly understand what resiliency was until this last year, 14 months or so. So the brief story here that I hope everybody can kind of capture a glimpse into my life as an entrepreneur. In January of 2023, actually, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit more to February of 2022. We had a car accident on our way to work and school. At the time, my daughter was 15 and I had another one that was 13. And my 15-year-old sitting in the front seat was not wearing her seatbelt. I did not know that. So spare the whooping on mom. Anyway, I didn't know she wasn't wearing her seatbelt, but she hit the dash with her head. She ended up with a traumatic brain injury and lost her hearing. And as a mom, I just went into fight mode. I mean, it's attorneys and hospital appointments and just making sure she's taken care of and just this, everything that comes with a hardship like that. And just a very unexpected emergency. And I was in total fight mode. The day after that accident, my car's totaled. I'm signing a $15,000 contract with a new client. And I'm just determined. I'm walking into the hospital after the ambulance has taken my daughter, and I'm having a conversation with this client saying, I will still be there. I'll figure out how to get there because I was determined I wasn't losing that sale, right? Like I was going to make it. That's the kind of entrepreneur that I was at that time. And of course, I'm getting rest in between. And, I'm on these vacations and I'm taking trips with my kids and I'm doing all those things in between, which is why I probably handled that okay at the time. But I came into 2023 on January 5th with like the most amazing strategic plan. I was on fire. Like I was going to conquer the world. We're putting that accident behind us. Like she's obviously still in medical care, but it was like, it is time for a new year, right? And on January 5th, that all came crashing down again. And I faced a semi head on about 1.5 miles from my exit. And I pled with the Lord in that moment. I wasn't scared to die, but I was pissed I didn't get to say goodbye. I was on that gas, like jerking my steering wheel, and my wheels were just spinning on the black ice. And he's coming right for me. And all of a sudden he flipped his truck into the ditch. And I came to in the ditch with him. And I was in his tire tracks and I got to live. Like, I don't even know how. I wasn't even supposed to be here after that day. But a week later, I woke up on a Friday morning and I said, my family was going to bury me today. I realized in that moment, I'm going down fast. And I knew I can't continue on in this year. So I boldly got on Facebook. I looked for a counselor and I started trauma therapy that same week, just a couple days later. And come to find, there was significant trauma through my whole life that needed to be dealt with, right? But this started a trajectory towards what I look at as the hardest year I have ever lived out. 2023 was incredibly difficult. In that first 2 weeks I was in counseling, I told my counselor, I just have to close my business. I can't do this. I said, people are paying me right now and I can't show up. People are paying me and I can't be focused. I can't do this. I have to close. I got to close my doors, And so of course it's time to halt, right? If you're hurt, angry, lonely, or tired, don't make any big decisions. And so she said to me, Deanna, let's wait 4 weeks. Isn't that cool? Because you're on the 4-week vacation. She said, can we give it 4 weeks, Deanna? She says, can we just give it 4 weeks? And listen, because I just want to go work at McDonald's where all I have to do is smile and hand back the right amount of change right now. I cannot do this whole business thing. I just need out. And so she says, let's just give it 4 weeks. And at the end of the 4 weeks, let's see where you're at. And I'm so thankful for her insight because I was not completely healed in 4 weeks, but I was able to make a little bit of a better decision. And I decided I wasn't going to give up on my business, but I did decide that it was okay to make sure that I was getting the rest that I needed to heal my body and heal my mind. And I did decide that it was okay to still continue to pay myself no matter what. And I also decided that it was okay if some of these goals that I had set for myself and for my business or my team had set for us as a business were pushed ahead. It's okay. And when I decided all of that was okay, I was able to press forward and really just focus on making sure that I was healing so that we could be the best that we were called to be in our business. And by September, we had 8 times our previous highest revenue. It was like, what just happened in this year? There were some key components that I realized in that year that were the most important things that I did. And the first, like the biggest one was having an executive assistant, like having somebody else that could handle and manage the things that I did not need to be doing, that somebody else could be doing. But the other one was mental health therapy. Mental health therapy was not something that I had worked with, up to this point. Like it was something that I was strong, I was resilient, I was I'm hard-headed, I'll do all the right things, right? But I hit a point where I was not able to manage my mental health on my own, and I needed desperate help, right? So fast forward us, I hope this was like the quickest way to tell this story. All that paved the way to 2024. I had no idea that I thought 2023 was the hardest year I'd ever walked out in my entire life. Thank God I walked it out then and got the mental health trauma that I did. So on January 12th, I found out that I have a terminal illness and there was just nothing I could do about it. And I again went back into, oh my God, I have to close my business. What am I going to do? I just have to quit. And I had to start having hard conversations with clients. There was no way I could take anybody's money on January 30th. Like when those payments were coming out on January 30th, I thought there is no way. I am in grief. I'm in shock. My family's going to need me right now. I'm going to need my family. And this was the most difficult news I think I've ever heard. And I think anybody would feel that way hearing such devastating news. So all of that to say just pushed me forward into 2024 to hear that I was terminal and that my time on earth would be shortened. And I'm going right back into, I need to take care of myself. And rest is just such a key component to the rest. Like we are going to try to find all these ways to go get your hair done, go get your nails done, go do all of those things and tell me you're taking care of yourself. You are not taking care of yourself if you are not getting adequate sleep and time away from your business.
Yeah. Yeah. I followed you on Facebook and I've been watching how this has unfolded, and you've been very public about what you're going through. And so you've been diagnosed with ALS. And when you say you're terminal, I think one of the things to know about ALS is it is a rapid deterioration. And so every moment that Deanna has is so precious. And so that's why I'm honored you're here talking with me today and sharing what you're sharing. And I've seen you've talked about the challenges of dealing with other people's grief about you and your awareness, and you're still doing therapy. You're talking about that on Facebook too, and how you're learning to take care of yourself. Like this whole new level of self-care. What do you know about yourself today that you didn't know last year?
That I am resilient. Oh my goodness. I always knew I was. I just had to kind of get to a point of understanding how I knew I was, right? One thing I do know about myself is that I am determined to make an impact in the world. And that's always been the reason for being an entrepreneur ultimately there were things that brought me into the world of entrepreneurship, but in reality, I just like to impact people's lives and make a difference in others' lives. And I could do that through products and services and make money while I was doing it. It was pretty incredible. And I've learned that nothing has changed about myself in that way, right? I've learned that I have a great sense of humor, and it doesn't matter if you're dying, you should still laugh and you should still smile. And finding joy, it's not, again, that's easier said than done, right? I have truly found joy in the midst of this. I don't ever want to falsify anything online or make somebody feel like I'm stronger online than I am in person. That's the real me. So I really do laugh more than I cry. But there are moments of sadness and there are moments where I'm a little bit angry. Like, this doesn't seem fair, right? Because Lord, I'm making an impact in my life. So like, why? Why are you going to take me now? And he's like, well done, good and faithful servant. You're almost done. Finish this race well. And there's something so peaceful about that. And that's what brings me joy. So there are some things I've learned about myself is that, I am able to truly find beauty in ashes. And in the end, I win. The enemy hates that the most. He truly does. Like, he hates the fact that we're going to praise God right now. He hates that. And I'm like, well, then good. I'm going to keep on doing it. Right? I'm going to keep on doing it.
Well, and your faith has been an incredible part of your journey. And so I'm curious too, how has that strengthened
Mm,
in the last year?
yeah. This is such a cool part of this testimony. I hope it reaches many. Last year, when I said I wasn't scared to die, when I faced that semi, I was not scared to die. I knew it was going to be fast. I knew I wouldn't feel a thing. It was the worst 3 seconds of my life. To be honest, I don't ever want to do that again. I don't want to die like that ever again. I can look back at that and say, no, thank you. But I knew I wasn't scared to die. I was mad I didn't get to say goodbye. That's truly like in that moment, it's like, can I grab a cell phone? Can I call somebody? I have 3 seconds to spare. Like, it's all I wanted to do was say goodbye. So when I received this diagnosis, I faced the wall for a minute. Like, I need to process what I just heard. And I didn't see it coming. I was very blindsided by this, right? And so as I'm blindsided by this news, I go back to the Lord, and it was like, I don't understand. Like, there was I mean, the growth this year, there were so many opportunities, so much exciting things. You're going to take it from me? I'm a little bit confused right now, right? And in that moment, I heard the Lord say, do you still believe what you said you believed? And I knew what he was talking about. Are you scared to die? And I spent a week processing that. And I was able to truly come out, like, I experienced it. No, Lord, I'm not scared to die. And he says, then I showed you favor. You get to say goodbye. And it hit me so hard because we can beg and plead with the Lord for our lives and for the things that we want, for the success that we want. And it may look a little bit different than we expected it to. And it took me a couple of weeks to come around and say, this just looks different. He's not taking success from me. He's not taking opportunity from me. He's giving me an opportunity to say goodbye. I can still go make an impact. He's not taking anything from me. And it took me a minute to come around to that, to be expected, right? But I was able to come around a little bit and say, okay, this all looks different. We're going from growth mindset to legacy mindset, right? I had to find, what does that look like? Because I'm still passionate about entrepreneurs. Like, I haven't lost that passion at all.
Yeah, well, and that's such a rapid shift from growth mindset to legacy mindset.
Entrepreneurs got to be like a little bit, they got to be adaptable. As an entrepreneur, this is like a skill set you got to have. Even if you get told you're dying, like, you need to be able to accommodate the situation.
Well, and you're doing that with grace. And I think what just blows me away, because since watching your journey, I've thought to myself, what if I found out that I was terminal, and what would I do? What choices would I be making right now? And one of the things that just blows me away is you're continuing to do business.
Yeah.
You're going to a conference. You've got a book you're getting out there.
Right.
So, and you said to me before we turned the mic on in the recording, you said, and I'm taking a 4-week vacation. Talk to me about, where are you focusing your energy and what's important to you now?
Yeah, so my energy has definitely shifted gears, right? I did have to let go of all of my one-on-one clients. And I had to look at my business and say, is right now the time that I should be growing other people's businesses? And it's not. And that's okay. So there were some things that I did need to let go of, but I don't have to let go of my passion for entrepreneurs. So while I can't work with one-on-ones or my small group anymore, what I can do is take everything that I have done up to this point and create a legacy with those things while I have the time. And I don't know how much time I get at this point. I know my respiratory is involved. So my doctor does expect a very fast progression. And so I'm not going to play with fire. Like, we're just going to get these things done. So right now the focus becomes, how can I help many entrepreneurs continue to be successful even when I'm gone? So that means putting all the blog posts together into book form. That means getting our book out, which is about halfway done. And I'm looking for that inspiration again to make sure that it gets done. But it's called Staying the Course, Becoming a Resilient Entrepreneur in the Face of Adversity. And too funny, because that was supposed to be with the editor on February 1st. So it sounds like the end of the book still needed to be written. Anyway, we're right in the end of that book now. So I'm just thankful for the opportunity to really be able to boldly speak into resiliency as an entrepreneur. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of things that you do as a business owner that are going to drive success in your life, that are going to help you to feel empowered and, experienced and knowledgeable. And you're going to feel on top of the world at times. But there are going to be a lot of things and a lot of time and a lot of energy well spent that you can't get back. And that's where I'm at right now, is making sure that my energies are given to my family and my friends, and making sure that I continue to make an impact in the ways that I'm supposed to make an impact in their lives. And shifting gears that way has been a little bit difficult, but very important. So we're going to the Bahamas, we're going to Punta Cana. We've got some trips coming up. It is a total of 2 weeks there. But after that, like, I'm pretty much just leaving everything open. I'm not scheduling anything after May at this point, because I just don't know what it looks like. But should something come up in like open and they're like, hey, Deanna, last minute, can you be here? Then we're going to schedule it if it looks like we can be there. So it just looks different now.
What's standing out to me is that you are showing us how to live no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. No matter what. Now, if I quit, like if I were to close the doors completely, I recognize this about myself, right? Because I've shut the doors before, and all that creativity, all that excitement, all that impact that I wanted to make, all that still existed. So I can look at my current situation right now and say, just close the doors, Deanna, because your family comes first. And, and absolutely those things matter. My family, my children, my friends, all of that matters. But I will lose my ever loving mind if I just close the doors, because I'm still here. My brain is still moving. My creativity is still going, and I still need a sense of purpose, right? And so it's been really good to remain in therapy and to hear that it's okay to still have a sense of purpose, even despite the fact that you may be leaving soon. And that was when I was able to kind of separate and say, okay, what do I need to let go of in the business right now? And help me find peace in that too, right? Because it's really difficult to let go of something when business ain't working. Like, your whole business is crashing. Everything's like falling through the bottom of the floor. You're making no money. You're like, close the doors. I quit. But what do you do when things are good? What do you do when you're successful? What do you do when there's so much opportunity on the table? How do you pick and choose what's most important? And I'm really thankful for that wisdom and direction that I was able to gain so quickly, to say it's okay to let go of other people's businesses right now, but I can still help them. It's just going to look a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, and I can fully appreciate that you made a choice to let go of the individual impact to create a bigger impact, and to be able to create a legacy that impacts so many entrepreneurs. And I'm sensing that your sense of purpose and connecting with that is a big piece of how you're coping right now. Like, it gives you a reason to just get in there and live life.
Absolutely. We need a reason to keep going. I need a reason to get up and keep going each day. That sense of purpose is so incredibly important. And, again, if I just close everything and close the doors on everything, then what? Right? I sit here and worry about my diagnosis. I worry about my symptoms. I worry about what I'm experiencing right now. I worry about those that I'm losing. I worry about those that are losing me. And again, those things still matter. It's not that we don't worry about those things, but those things can't take over the day. We have to live in the moment and live for today, and really just live for those that are still wanting me to live, right? They're like, listen, you're still here, keep on living. And I think if they saw me let go of that purpose, they would experience probably not the best side of me anyway.
Well, and I noticed that your friends had an incredible celebration for you recently.
They did. They did. That was hard to go to, by the way. That was really hard. First of all, I don't like celebrating myself. So it was really difficult. I was like, they're like, we're having this coffee date for you, Deanna. I'm like, oh, I don't really like to celebrate myself. However, I use that opportunity to share that testimony. And to be honest, it was so much fun to come together with friends and drink coffee, and then to see all the connections. It really has taken this whole situation in my life for me to realize just how far deep and wide I had grown my network. And I care about everybody. I care about everybody's feelings. I care about everybody. Like, making these phone calls was the most difficult thing I've ever had to do, because it had to start with my clients. I'm like, I'm about ready to take their money in 2 weeks. And I had to make a very fast decision. And there was a part of me that kept saying, Deanna, what if you let go of all these clients and everything turns out fine on February 1st? And was like, I've got to trust this is the right direction we're going. It was really tough. So it was really good to bring everybody together and to have this little celebration, and, just know that, what if that was the last one that we get to have? Should we be doing those celebrations anyway? Like, should we? on purpose.
Well, I think that's such an important point because what stands out to me as a woman is women's friendships get put on the back burner all the time because we're taking care of business, we're taking care of the family, and squeezing in time to go have coffee with a friend, much less a whole group of friends, and making that happen because everybody's got all these other commitments. And so I think it's so precious that you friends and you were able to do that and to have that experience. And I think it's a very important message for all of us that we need to make time for that no matter what. It's important.
Yeah, it's restful. That was renewal, right? I mean, those are the things that, especially as business owners, we can get very, very wrapped into our business and our success and the next step and the next sale. And I've just got to get this blog post done. And we can get caught up on all that stuff and forget to spend time with our friends. That is something I've been pretty good at. I have a list of people that I schedule with quarterly on purpose. And so it's just another little thing that I've always done. So I have been very purposeful that way. So I don't have any regrets looking back and saying, did I miss the mark here? I absolutely don't. But it did take this for me to realize, like, I thought everybody deserved a phone call. So when it got to the point where family had been notified and my clients that I needed to let go of had been notified, and I'd made those phone calls, I was like, I got to put up a post. I just, everybody matters. And you worry so much about somebody reading something like that on Facebook. But it was one of those things where it was just like, it was just time. It was like, I live such a public life as it is. And I was struggling to hide it. And it was just time to share. So I'm an open book. We'll continue to use this story and continue to use my life to make impact all the way through the very, very end.
You're an amazing woman.
I love you.
I love you too.
I'm so excited I got this time with you.
I'm so excited we did to get this time together and could share in this way. And I want to let those listening know that Deanna has a GoFundMe. And so I want you to send me the link so we can put that in the show notes. And the GoFundMe obviously is to support her family and the needs and help them through this difficult time. Also to help Deanna get her book out and some things that are really important for Deanna around her legacy that she is moving forward in spite of all the challenges. So we'll put the link to that GoFundMe. I want to share with you, Deanna, that I know that what you have shared here today is going to make a lasting impact on multiple lives, that there's no way that someone listening to this will not be doing something differently in their entrepreneurial journey because of what they've heard from you today.
Amen. Yeah, just do it. I can look back now and say, even though I've been given this diagnosis, I don't have any regrets from the time that I invested in myself, taking a rest, taking that vacation with my family, scheduling that time with my children. I don't have those regrets because I was so purposeful in those things. Could it have been better? Always, right? But I don't have those regrets, and I'm so thankful for that. So for those of you that still have that time to live it out, I think it's so important to capture something from that and go make a difference in your entrepreneurial journey in that way. Take a 4-week vacation. Take the challenge.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to say. Just do it. Just do it. Your business is going to be fine. Yeah. Pull the plug and do it.
So that if anyone is ready to make the 4-week vacation pledge after hearing Deanna say that, head on over to tapthepotential.com/pledge. And I want to clarify something about the 4-week vacation pledge because I hear a lot of people saying, well, I'm not quite ready yet. When are you going to be ready? Number one.
You'll never be. You'll never be ready. Yeah. It will always look scary. It will always look scary. Yeah. You just got to do it.
Yeah. It totally will. And as long as you have steady lead generation in your business, you can have your business ready to go on a 4-week vacation. And if just listening to what Deanna is doing, every one of us has had situations in our lives where we've had to make some rapid shift or pivot in our business because life has happened. I've seen it over and over. And so really what you do when you say, I'm going to take a 4-week vacation is you're just putting your stake in the ground and saying, my life matters. My family matters. I'm going to connect with them. And when you make the pledge, we reach out and support you. We find out, well, what are your challenges? And we offer you resources to help you make it happen. So you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So Deanna, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your message. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Gosh, no, thank you so much for having me today. And I'm thankful that I still have my voice today and will continue to use it while we can. So I'm excited to hear about those that take the 4-week pledge because of this story. I would be very encouraged by those.
Yeah, yeah, that would be amazing. Well, thank you, Deanna.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you for tuning in today. Join our team and your fellow entrepreneurs in our Tap the Potential Mighty Networks community at tapthepotential.com/group. Share your aha moments from today's episode. Ask us questions and join in on the fun. Finally, share today's episode with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. Profit by Design is in the top 5% of podcasts globally because listeners like you share with friends. Thank you. This is real life business. Keep your chin up. Keep moving forward. You got this.